Hi there, and welcome to OSForensics. This video will cover the basics of installation and starting a case. I would recommend watching this video and getting yourself completely familiar with the software before you get started. First off, let's get started by downloading OSForensics. Head to the OSForensics website and click on the download button. This is located on the main page. Once it's downloaded, launch the OSForensics setup and follow the installation process. There are three options for installing OSForensics. You can install to the system drive, USB drive, or create a self-booting USB drive. The installation package always installs to the system drive. This is useful for a lab environment, but after the install of the software to the system drive, it is possible to make a portable USB version. Installing on the USB drive is generally useful in scenarios like field analysis, where you would not want to install OSForensics on the suspect system. Field analysis is also sometimes referred to as triage or live acquisition. A self-booting USB drive is useful when the machine you would like to install OSForensics on has an invalid, incompatible, or non-working operating system. Upon launching OSForensics, you will be presented with the main window that is divided into Workflow and Start. The Start panel contains all the functions of OSForensics, while the Workflow sidebar is customizable. Customizing the workflow can be useful if you have a well-defined workflow that only involves using a small number of OSF modules. The workflow can also be locked down to allow the tool to be used by less experienced investigators. To customize the workflow, right-click within the panel and select Customize Workflow. This contains the full list of modules. You can reorder them by selecting the module and using the top up or down button. To remove or add modules, simply check or uncheck the box next to the module. To get started on a new case, there are two main options: Auto Triage and Manage Case. If you are only looking to quickly collect a large amount of information in a short amount of time, you can use Auto Triage to do everything for you. It might not be necessary to dive into other functions beyond that. If you are investigating a case from scratch, go to Manage Case to create a new case. The top part shows the list of cases. You will see a green tick next to the selected case. Double-click to select a case. The lower part of the window displays the contents of the selected case. Now, I will walk you through the process of creating a new case, as well as some of the main features. First, click on New Case. The first field, case name, is the only mandatory field. The time zone is set to your local time zone by default. You should set it to the time zone of the location where the evidence was collected. For acquisition type, Investigate disks from another machine is selected by default. But if you are doing field work, instead of lab work, select Live Acquisition of Current Machine. Lastly, Log Case Activity is selected by default. This is useful if you need to provide evidence of your activities in OSForensics. It will keep a record of actions that you have performed. It is worth mentioning that the help link in the top right corner contains a fairly comprehensive guide to OSForensics. If you are ever stuck wondering what certain features are for, click here. You can see that there are several other tabs within the window where you can enter additional information about the case. This is completely optional. After creating a new case, the next step is to add a device. A device in this context refers to a disk image or physical device such as a system drive or network drive. Let's begin by clicking on Device. There are several options for evidence source. Note that devices added in OSF are always read-only. OSF makes no changes to the device. Let's go through some of the options. If you are investigating a physical or logical volume, choose Drive Letter. You can use either Forensics or Standard mode. Forensics mode supports a broader range of file systems, so you can investigate a disk from a Mac or Linux machine on a Windows machine. In Forensics mode, OSF directly reads sectors and bypasses file permissions. In Standard mode, OSF reads files and directories, so file permissions are enforced. Standard mode only provides a simplified view of the system. As you can see, there are files that show up in Forensics mode which are hidden in Standard mode. Mounting an image should only be done when third-party tools require access to the disk image via a standard drive letter. It is recommended that you use the image file option instead. There are less layers involved in the process, which means better performance. Various disk image file formats are supported. Raw images are also sometimes referred to as DD images, named after the Linux DD tool. E01 images are the most common for forensics, and they can be captured by OSF itself, or self-booting OSF clone tool, or other third-party tools. If you would like more information on how to use the software, visit osforensics.com/support and download our user's manual.